Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Educatedcollins Snap channel. How you doing? Now, first things first, you guys look at the time of this. You're like, this is an hour. I'm not staying. But I do think this is a pretty important is not the right word, but it's a pretty informative video. We're going to be going over the Creators Clash. So this was an event that happened over the weekend where a bunch of high level creators met on LAN and played some very high level battle mode games, right? So it wasn't all broadcasted, but they did broadcast a lot of the games, a lot of interesting games. And I went through those games and I kind of broke down every single turn. Well, theoretically, broke down what each player was thinking, what they should be doing, what they should be looking at, their snap, their locations. I kind of broke down like all the thoughts that they should have been thinking about and what you should be thinking about in the game. So because of that, it ends up being very long, right? So I was considering maybe I want to chop it up into multiple parts, but I wanted to have a video of each battle each day, and it's going to be really hard to post tons of videos, in multiple parts. So I figured I just want to post each one video per series, but because of that, it's like an hour long. So I definitely think if you have the time, you want to learn, you really want to learn like how to think about the game, how to think about the matches. These next videos that are going to be coming out this couple of days are going to be very helpful for you. So that's the setup. I don't want to take too much time here, but the first one is Lee and Dara. I know both of them; they're very good players. So I will say Lee is new. Lee is mostly a Hearthstone Battlegrounds player, so he doesn't have as much Marvel Snap experience as Dara does. So that's the one thing. But without further ado, let's get started. Let's take a look at it, right? So we have Dara. Dara's playing Resident Sleeper, which is his Death Wave deck. It looks like a pretty standard Death Wave with Arrow, She-Hulk, Death. Nothing too fancy. I think it's just a normal deck. And then Lee is playing Strong Woman. It's a Dino deck, but it also has Arrow, She-Hulk, so it's kind of like a mirror. I like Lee's deck better into the matchup. Just looking at the two decks, because Lee has more counterplay. I would say, but they're both fine. Like Death Wave is good, and if you can do Death Wave stuff, it should be fine. But Lee also has a She-Hulk, so he should be able to also like contest those plays. But we'll see.
Who do you think is favored in this matchup? It's tough to say. I do think the Cosmo is going to come in super handy for Lee here. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, Cosmo is going to be a problem for Resident Sleeper. Cosmo is a very big problem for them. We got Arrow, we have Wave, Shang-Chi especially. If you could protect your top cards with that Cosmo and not get Shang-Chi'd, I think you can pull out a victory. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that another thing, right? It's so Lee favored, isn't it? He has armor as well. He has armor in this list. That just shuts down Death Wave so hard if Lee knows what he's doing. So I find it super tough for Dara to win this just from like a deck matchup perspective. But we'll see how the games go. I haven't watched anything, so I actually have no idea who wins or loses any of the games. So we'll just see. Like from a player standpoint, I have to give it to Dara because he actually plays the game like a lot, right? Where Lee is like mostly still a BG Hearthstone streamer. I'm a good friend of both of them, so it's kind of interesting. But like from a gameplay perspective, I have to give it to Dara because he plays more. But from a deck perspective, I have to give it to Lee.
Nice. Okay, guys,
so
let me
we
know
do get
how
to see
frame
both
rates, how
of
everything
the
is looking.
players. That's
I'm
kind
gonna
of
get rid of
cool.
this. Is not the finals, and this is
I
not
wonder.
the
Maybe I need
bracket.
to make my thing smaller, right, so that you can see everything.
Everything
Looks good to me.
working perfectly.
All right, let's stop.
Screen, yes.
It's turn one, right? Oh, I need to stop here. It's turn one. How come so who's at the top? That has to be Lee, right? Lee's at the top. Yeah. And then Dara's at the bottom. How come Lee only has 3 cards?
Yes.
This says loser bracket final. Is that correct? Is this the loser bracket final? Am I at the wrong start? Is this the loser bracket final? This doesn't make sense. No. Okay. Then why does it say final loser bracket? That seems off to me. They fixed it. Okay. Okay.
Correct.
But turn 1, right? It looks like Lee's in a really good spot. Well, not a really good, but he has a 1, right? Sunspot in there. And he knows Dara's deck list. He knows Dara doesn't have any counterplay. I want to say, like, when we go back to the list, right, and we look at Dara's list, one issue with this type of deck is there's no real counterplay. I guess he has the Killmonger and the Shang-Chi, but, like, there's no, like, proactive stuff to really, pick around. So basically, Lee only has to worry about Killmonger, Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi is pretty easy to play around with his list. Even the Killmonger is also easy to play around with this list. Like, this armor is too good into this list, I would say. So we'll have to see. Oh, he started with Agent 13. Okay, and he just played Agent 13 turn 1. Okay, is that what happened? Okay.
But this should be.
Seems good.
To have a
And then he hits the Yondu. Yeah,
this.
so Dara needs a lot of early stuff
This should work
in the early game, but Dara's list is, I mean, Dara's hand is so bad, I would say, like, not having a turn 1 play, and then he doesn't even have a turn 2 play, so it looks pretty rough, and Lee had a turn 1 play, so
at the moment,
I'd be feeling pretty happy if I was already Lee. So I'd probably, and I hit the armor, if I was Lee, I'd probably be snapping already. I think I would already be snapping. But obviously, first game, you don't know. And Lee's, like, fairly, like, I would say he's fairly new, so there's not that aggression, right? You get aggression once you, like, understand more things. But I would say, like, he's in a really good spot here.
Yondu takes out that Chavez, so that turn 6 is not automatic anymore, all right? Ooh, the layout is just
Varanian Mines. It doesn't really help.
Players get to see the decks, and we get to see the gameplay.
Doesn't really help anyone too much.
Real life tournament.
So yeah, let's look at Lee's spot right here. What does Lee want to do? He got Star-Lord from the Agent 13, which is okay. He definitely wants to put his 1s into the armor. And he wants to draw, right? The one thing Lee's missing, he doesn't have draw for the Devil's Sword, but he has other win conditions from the Devil's Sword, so I know I'm looking at it from Lee's point of view, but Lee has all the options here, while Dara's plays are pretty limited. So, it doesn't really matter too much what Dara is doing, right? Like, you like, Death Wave at this point is, like, pretty predictable. You know how it's gonna go. So where Lee has, like, a lot of plays here, right? How do you play the Star-Lord? How to play the Quinjet? It's gonna be hard to talk about cards like Star-Lord, right? Because we see both sides. So, like, I could say, oh yeah, I'd play Star-Lord mid, but, like, my brain is already like, oh, I know exactly where they're playing, so I can't really talk about that one. But you could definitely do, like, Sunspot middle or something for Lee.
Yeah, we got some art up there.
Cosmo's a card you want to, like, maybe hold until, like, a critical point or so. Like, you don't have to play the Quinjet here, even though you could. But you don't have really any synergy. I mean, you do have the Star-Lord, I guess.
For the 3rd location.
So yeah, he's gonna go protect the 1-drops and armor. I think that's a really strong play.
Our players are writing down what your opponents have.
Oh, they're writing down the cards that they've played. That's beautiful. I love that. That means you're tryharding. But maybe they gave the journals to the players, right? Like, I bet that's what happened. Cause I don't know. I could see Lee just bringing a journal. I can also see Dara. I can see both of them doing that. So kind of makes sense.
It shows up in a deck tracker, but of course, they're doing it old school right now. But again, shout out to Untapped.
But then again, aren't we sponsored by? Isn't this tournament sponsored by Untapped.gg? what's the need, right? I'm sure they let them use the tracker, right? Like that'd be very confusing if they didn't let them use the tracker and it's literally sponsored by a deck tracker. Like what? Like the optics of it is kind of weird, right? Like you guys have a deck tracker, right? Like why are we writing it down? But I guess it's fine.
All right, so how are we looking now? We got the middle of the field stacked right now.
We couldn't use tracker because we're all playing on mobile. Oh. Oh, right. They're playing on the iPad. Ah, you're right. That's you. That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. It's still weird though. Except Coco. Wait, what's Coco doing? Well, we'll find out. But yeah. Um.
All right, Bucky Barnes is down.
Yeah, like
Keep it
if
low.
I was Lee, I'd be snapping so hard already. Like I think this game is kind of lost,
I don't want them to hear, even though they have
but
the noise canceling.
we'll have to see what Lee wants to be doing here. I really think he has a lot of options. He can go Sentinel Star-Lord into Devilsaur into what
Trying to flip
into
through?
Cosmo or
What is that?
Sentinel to Cosmo. A lot of the time. I mean, he still has the wave, right? And I think they have enough kills, right? So the death is -3. So yeah, you do have to play around the death wave. That's pretty much the only important bit that Lee has to do, right? Like he could theoretically lose,
Both
but
thinking about it, transitioning.
All right, so this is gonna
what is
be
the transition
Dara.
for? I have no idea.
All right, so Dera.
Yeah, so he's going for the
drops
Sentinel
down.
Star-Lord. He gets the right guess. I like this.
Let's see.
Gets the
got
+5.
him. Wow, haven't seen that card played in a while. All right, just played Bucky. This is Dera.
Okay, hits the Carnage. So now we can go wave
Some
Carnage,
face on Dera's hand. He has the cards he needs to pull this out.
and then next turn,
Got Vibranium Mines. Nobody's
next
on
turn he
yet.
goes
Nobody's
Death
playing that yet.
Wave.
None of these guys are playing Galactus. You don't have to worry about the Galactus play. But we
So
do
I
have
I like the
some
White
strong
Queen
cards going
Sentinel, and
into
then
this.
you maybe go
I don't want to say
Dino
too much,
last
so we'll
turn.
let it play out. Oh, we get a snap by Lee. Okay, that's a big snap, guys.
Yeah, I think I don't
I
think
like
Dara
the
was
snap,
too
but
excited about that one,
Dara
guys.
hitting the
Um,
Carnage is really
but to be
big.
fair, I mean, I think
That was like
the
Dara's
main
best
card here, I
hit
think,
here.
is that,
So the matchup
the
had
Shang
swing now. It's
yeah,
not
so I think the
guaranteed
Shang
anymore.
is huge. Is huge here for
Because now
Dara,
he
but
can
I'm
go
not too
wave
sure.
Carnage and then play
His
both
armor is
Death
really messing him
She-Hulk.
up. It is turn
And then
5, right? He could wave. He's considering the retreat here, folks. He does retreat.
all right, Dara does leave, but I actually think he's not in that bad of a spot. Hitting the Carnage is such a big swing here, right? So he can go wave Carnage here, and then he can play She-Hulk Death, right? And what does Lee do, right? Lee's going Cosmo, right? So Lee's playing the Cosmo this turn. So if Lee guesses right, which he could, right? Which I think he does, right? Then Lee wins this, right? Because you probably play Cosmo in Lemuria, right? And what you want to do is you want to Carnage the Bucky, right? But since you know that and you have initiative, right? Lee has initiative. The Cosmo goes down on Lemuria. Then he tries to Carnage. He tries to wave. If he's being greedy and puts wave in the same spot as the Carnage, right, he instantly loses. Where he'd have to put wave in a different spot, right? Probably in the mines, right? It's probably in Murder World because there's almost no way they're gonna play Cosmo into Murder World. So you're with that knowledge, right? You'd probably wave Murder World. You'd Carnage the Bucky. You still lose out, right? Because he'd probably Cosmo the Lemuria. You'd lose out on the Bucky value. Then you'd have to kind of win by the power play. You will have the Devilsaur, but Devilsaur's not going to be super big. But you do have decent top decks. I think the Yondu killed the it killed the Chavez, right? So you're not going to draw the Chavez, so you could draw something else instead. So as long as the Cosmo play is correct, I think Dera could still win this one here. But it's going to be a little bit hard because the Cosmo is going to deny the Bucky Barnes value. Then you have to invest into that lane, and it's going to be very easy to win that lane pretty freely. So I think it's a good leave from Dara, knowing, like, with the full information that you have, but it's hard to know because I think Dara could also win this game as well. It kind of depends on all the positioning. So when do you get the replay? This is Ketowek's Twitch channel. I'm just looking at the Twitch channel.
He does retreat. Okay, so that.
So here you go. Would you save Carnage? No, I wouldn't save Carnage. You're playing Wave, right? You're playing Wave, so you can't play all those cards. You have to be playing well, it'd go 2/4, right? But the death is gonna cost 1, so you can't play it. You have to Carnage now, because otherwise, so if you Carnage and then Wave, then you can play the death for free. So you go Carnage and Bucky, Wave middle. Then, if the Carnage goes off, you're able to play the death for free. So, but Lee's Cosmo would win him the game. Yeah. Lee's Cosmo win. I'm pretty sure Lee puts Cosmo in Lemuria, and so because of that, I keep reading Dexter. It's Dara. For Dara loses because of the Cosmo here. Yeah, it's just such a hard matchup for Dara. This deck is not good into what Lee is playing at all. But yeah, gets the win here. All right, let's keep going.
So, okay, there.
I'm sorry, not annoying, but could comment on while playing the live not being rude. Was Dexter there? No, Dexter wasn't there.
First starts off with the Squirrel Girl here. Really
all right,
good.
let's look at this turn 1.
Great procs for.
All right, this is a lot better of a hand for Dara. This is a lot better of a hand for Dara. I can definitely see being aggressive. I will say though, Lee's hand is also fairly good. Lee, so they both have a good hand. If I was feeling confident, the problem if I was Dara here is that I'm basically I can't be confident. I can't play aggressively with Dara's deck. I can't really snap turn 1 with Dara's deck because Lee's deck has a lot of counters to my deck. So I basically have to read the flow of the game and before I snap. So it's not an easy game to pilot against Lee's list because if he has the armor, I'm really behind. If he has the Cosmo placement, I'm really behind. Or if he has the She-Hulk plays with Moon Girl, then he doesn't care about Wave either. So he just has such a good list into this list. It's so bad. It's if I pick Deathwave and Lee picks this list, I'm already groaning. But yeah, I mean at least the hand is good for Dara. This
the
one.
Deathwave deck. We're gonna see opponent did play on Fisk Terror. Just missed what that was. I should be able to easily check what that was. 1 second there, guys.
So yeah, I guess the biggest read here would be whether whether Lee plays armor on 2 or 3. If Lee hasn't played armor by turn 3, that's when I would start feeling confident. So that would be the main angle I'd be looking for because it's too powerful. But even then, it doesn't mean I'm favored. So that's the problem with.
So the
this
squirrel
list.
comes down.
I know I'm going on about it, but it's such a hard list.
Agent 13 is an extremely
to play in
underrated
this
card in battle
matchup,
mode, right? And just so 100 gives you a new card. Just so you guys know as well, this is a open format, so both players have been.
Cloning Vats is very interesting. Yeah, I like this. He's committing the Carnage before the armor comes down. That's what he's thinking. Right, I need to commit the Carnage because I think normally if you're looking at this, you're like, okay, I want to play the Bucky Barnes, but your opponent has armor, so you need to get some value from the Carnage. You also need to test whether they have the armor, right? Because if they have the armor, they're playing it turn 2, so you just need to test that. So you're gonna Carnage first. Normally you'd go Bucky Barnes, right? Get the setup, but you need to because they have armor. You can't you can't just like play greedy. You have to get the value and also check, right? Since he has priority, he gets to check even if the opponent plays armor and cloning vets, which is the likely play. He still gets the kill off. So that's why he's doing it like this. Where normally you'd go Bucky Barnes first.
Each other's decks, right? So Agent 13 and like
Yeah. So
Agent
see, now this is good for Dara,
Also,
right?
you're
Like
not gonna know
he
at
sees,
all.
oh, he doesn't have armor
At all.
here. That's big
exactly.
read.
And it's really interesting that I believe.
And
in
now
the,
you can
he
start,
does have white
you know,
pink.
thinking about, okay, can
But
I
think he's
play
at
it
a little bit lower
aggressively? Can
collection
I do
level,
blah
so
blah
he doesn't
blah?
have the, access.
Who snapped here, right? Is it Dara that he snapped, right? Dara
Oh,
snapped, right? So
exactly.
that's really good read from Dara,
And it's
right?
really
He
interesting
reads
that
the
I believe in
armor.
Lee's
He
deck,
doesn't have
he does
armor.
have a white
He's in a
pink, but I
big
think he has that little
big
bit lower
advantage
collection
spot.
level,
He
so
goes
he
for the
doesn't have
snap. That's absolutely correct
the,
here.
access
So
card
definitely
level.
like this
So
play
it's like
from
white
Dara.
pink's type of
Good
card where
read
you wanna
here.
be able
And
to get
we'll see
information
how
from
Lee
people, but in this format, you do
responds.
kinda
Like
know
I
that
think
they're
Lee
high
could
contracts, but
leave
it's also
here.
good.
Like this is a good, like if Lee leaves, I think this is a good leave. Because Dara has the right read, that he
value.
doesn't have the
Yeah.
armor, so that's
100%.
good play from
So we do have
from them. But we'll see
oh
if
my
Lee
God, so
wants
we got
to
the
stay in,
Doctor
right? So
Strange.
that's
The
actually
Doctor Strange off of
the
the
real
Agent 13 is
consideration
really
here.
interesting.
I would say you don't have to be prideful, though. I will say Lee's hand isn't that bad, right? Because he has Devil Store and She-Hulk in the first two spots. So if he does play the Moon Girl, he can easily recover. And Devil Store is very good into cloning vats, right? Because every card you play, you're gonna get a card back. So the Devil Store is always gonna be huge, and you can go like Devil Store into cloning vats and Devil Store again, right? So that's actually very strong. Or if he wants, he could like save, go double Hulk, right? Especially if they're waving you. So I would say Lee's position isn't super bad, especially since he also has the arrow, so he can do a lot of things. But I would say like Dara's definitely favored.
I
at
was
the
actually a
moment.
good friend of mine. Shout out to Shade. She got
Did you watch any of this live? No, I haven't seen any of it at all. So
her opponent had
we're just
Devil
kind of
Dino,
watching.
and then the opponent played Strange and just shifted all of that power over to another lane, and it's just like, oh, you've no idea. It's so unpredictable. Like,
Did you see that? Did you see that?
her opponent had Devil Dino, and then the opponent played Strange and just shifted all of that.
You see that? He snaps again. Do you see that? Dara knows he's in an advantage. That his mind is like, I have to snap, but he's already snapped because he has the right read. But he's like, I have such an advantage. I'm clicking it again just to check. I love that.
Yeah,
I do that too. I do that
You
too.
just have absolutely
It's
no idea,
funny, though.
no idea what to do. How are you feeling about this now, Ken? I think it's interesting. Like, Dara does still have the tech card of like.
Yeah.
Shang.
Oh no! Oh, he plays it out. Okay, so Lee plays it out.
Bookie,
Okay,
the
that's
Carnage.
interesting.
Like, I'm feeling
I will
confident
say
there.
like.
And this
We'll
might
see
be
how
a
it
good
turns
hazard
out, though,
lead. I
but,
think he
like,
can go into it, feel
not
confident, what his opponent
not
snaps
the
him,
most
I think he'll
confident
pull
stay
this
if
off,
I were
especially with that
Lee.
play right there. I think the cloning vats definitely helped him out with Carnage, getting another Carnage.
So like we already know Dara's kind of ahead, but let's see what Lee could do here. He has the She-Hulk for 3. It's turn 4, so you could do something like Quinjet She-Hulk, which is pretty good, right? You put the She-Hulk in the middle. You could put Quinjet on the left or the right. Probably the left. I don't mind that play from Lee here.
Bucky in there, so I think he should be good at that point. He also has a wave waiting in the wings.
You get
But if he
the
pulls out
cost
cards, he
reduction
wants
from
to
the
help with that. So let's see.
Quinjet.
She-Hulk makes sense because then if he plays it on,
Dude, Dara's too confident.
Dara, like, snap that
He's
button,
snapping.
buddy.
Respect Lee. Maybe Dara doesn't know Lee. I gotta say you can't. Don't be emoting like that.
He has some cards. He has Moon Girl right now. He has She-Hulk. He has the cards he needs to play. He puts She-Hulks on cloning vats.
So yeah, is he going? Okay, so he's going Quinjet on the right side instead of the left side. Looking at the mines, I guess it's not a bad idea. The reason you would do that is so you can contest the right lane, right? Because he only has 1 power in the mine. So you put the Quinjet there, at least you're contesting that lane, so they can't ignore it. So I think that's actually a probably better read than going left. Since your hand's already full of all the premium cards you need, you don't really care whether you get the mines or not. And the mines isn't like a bad hit if you want to play it in the mid, right? It's 1 power, you get the you can play in the mid. So I think this is a better read from Lee than playing it in the on the left, which is what I was suggesting.
He's gonna get like a free 2/8, right?
Yep.
Okay, now opponents have a free
That's
She-Hulk,
what I'm
but
saying. And he's playing.
Jet middle is better.
yes.
Uh,
It's discounted.
It's gonna be crazy.
I don't know if it's better. It's an option. Right, you would get a 0 power jet. I guess you would get a 0 power jet, which you can play immediately again. I guess that is better, isn't it? You get a 0 power jet, and then your Hulk. Turn 4. You mean you could get a 4 power Hulk, which isn't like. I don't know if you'd play it though, but you get extra 2 power. Basically the payoff is you get 2 power for free next turn because you can just play it again. You lose a draw though, and that might be what Lee's thinking, because that's what I was thinking, right? You'd lose a draw, so like if you draw a mines, you get 4 power mines for free, right? Compared to the 2 power of mines, and there's a very good chance you'll get the 2 power mines. But if you go cloning vat, you're never drawing the mines. So I actually don't know if the Quinjet mid is better. It's like guaranteed 2 extra power, but you know your opponent could be running Killmonger, right? So like that's another thing. You're not thinking about all these things, right? Your opponent could just have a Killmonger, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna spam with Quinjets, but then they just hit you with a Killmonger and all your value is gone, right? The mines don't die, so you're not evaluating everything, I would say. So my instinct was like, don't play Quinjet mid, and also Lee went for the same play. So even though you have an argument, I wouldn't say it's like the most convincing argument to do it like that. So you know, it's something to think about. I'm not gonna say either anyone's right here, but it's something to think about.
He has arrows still.
He did draw the Killmonger. He did draw the Killmonger too, right? So he would have that option to mess with you.
The fact that there is the wave here, right? There is the wave for Dara, because usually in Death Wave you want to play it on 5, right? You want to have your Shang-Chi available.
So the one downside
I mean,
for Dara is that he hasn't drawn any of his bombs, right? He hasn't drawn a She-Hulk. He hasn't drawn the Death. He does still have a really good hand, right? He can go Bucky Barnes Carnage, which is a really, really strong hand at any point. Like, he could go like Iceman, Bucky Barnes Carnage, right? And then try to go like Shang-Chi last turn, right? I think that would be a really good line from Dera. He doesn't have to play Wave since he didn't draw any of it. And even if he draws like Death, he could probably still play it realistically, right? Because he's killed so many cards. So actually, I probably like Iceman, Bucky, Carnage, and then into Shang-Chi. But you know, we'll see what Lee has. Lee, I do think Lee's behind, so I kind of wonder what Lee's gonna do here. Right, his hand's a little bit slightly awkward. He could go Devil's Sword, but he needs initiative, right? Which is like the big deal, the big problem that he doesn't have initiative. He does have this Doctor Strange, which is pretty cool.
Not
but
playing Quinjet on cloning vats. I mean, you know, people.
I don't actually know exactly
with
how
cloning
he
vats.
gets
Anyways,
through
I mean, do you really want to reduce your cards that much? Yeah, we're trying not to be super loud, guys, because the players are right beside us. But we will try speak up, if possible. But we should be good. All right, I'm super interested to see. Dara has still not played. I feel like, is he rubbing his opponent? What is this man doing?
He's going for the Shang-Chi. Just trying to avoid the. I like this. Okay, so what Dara is doing is he's just guaranteeing that he kills off the She-Hulk. And then, because then it means they can't Cosmo or they can't armor you. And then he gets to make this big play with the Bucky Barnes Carnage last turn. The only downside is, like, you're not fully using all your mana, but, like, Bucky Barnes Carnage is so much power that it probably doesn't matter.
Okay, he's doing Shang-Chi on the She-Hulk. The fact that he's playing it the cloning vats is super smart. He's going to have another answer in case the Dino does come down or the other She-Hulk comes down. I think he just really has to realize that this arrow is incoming. Because like I said, they do
he goes for the armor.
They do know each other's decks, all right?
But the problem with armor, the problem with armor at this point, I like the Doctor Strange play, right? That was an interesting read. But Dara has initiative, right? So like the armor loses a lot of the intense value you get because the initiative is there, right? So let's say you played armor mid, it didn't matter, right? He'd get the Shang-Chi off. Let's say you played armor, you know, you get the Killmonger off, you get the Shang-Chi off. So like if you're behind with the armor, you've lost, like it doesn't have as much impact as early, which is why I was saying like maybe Lee needed to leave early. This is the problem, by the way. I'm gonna have like 5 hours of like game reviews, right? We're 2 games in. I've already talked for like 30 minutes. Oh man. So yeah. that's really the problem here. Like I'm just gonna be like if I want to evaluate it like on a high level, you just talk forever.
Oh my! Oh, wow, he plays the Doctor Strange. Okay, I would have saved that. Honestly, I think the fact that he could
But
play
yeah,
the
like
Dino
it's
and
over
then
for
run the
Lee.
Doctor
I don't see how he can really recover from this point
Strange.
on. Like
But
there's not a lot of like good
I feel like as
lines
well
for
with the
him.
shield. Okay, what can
Yeah, he can't win mid. Like it's 100% over mid. Um, and then how does he win the other two lanes? Like how does he not? Like Dara's smiling. Dara knows he's won, right? Like so, like I just don't see how
what can
like
play here? It's got a
Lee
shield and
could
a
win
sentinel,
this spot.
or just
It's
Devil
too
Dino,
hard.
or just an arrow. Oh my god, the arrow wins it though. I think the arrow wins it. I'm pretty sure. Anyone have the link to the merchandise? The merchandise was kindly given to us by Second Dinner. So unfortunately, the merch is not available. Shout out Second Dinner though. I mean, you know,
All right, let's
anyone
skip
sees
this
Dera
because
right
I
now,
know that
it's
I don't
fucking
see
carnage on
any
full
way.
screen.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
see any way Lee could
Don't
win this.
retweet it, so.
I think Lee needed to leave earlier. Like as soon as he misses turn 2 and then Dara snaps, like it's over. You should have left, but decided to play it out. I think for 2 cubes it's fine. Like I'm not too pressed about like leaving, like not leaving for 2 cubes. I think it's fine to like gauge how good your opponent is and stuff like that. But technically, you should have left. I think it's fine though.
I
But
actually think,
he
I mean,
gets the
obviously
2
as a
cubes
caster,
there.
it's very easy to see that I think Lee definitely had the advantage in that matchup. But yeah, super like your Dino, your Sentinel, your Quinjet is super.
All right, so let's look at this third game. We've got a Quinjet start, and ooh, this is a really good hand for Lee. Let's look at Dara's hand though. This is a decent hand for Dara. Not as good as Lee's hand though, but still okay. Still okay. We'll see how it goes.
Super powerful.
I
When you throw on a card like Arrow,
don't know if you'd snap
Arrow is
in
like,
either position. I would say Lee
Arrow's just like
could snap, but like
powerful tech card at the moment.
I think like
So-
once again, most of this deck is like most of this matchup is revolving around the early armor. So like you wouldn't. I don't think I would snap unless I had it like early. Like later
super
on,
hyped.
it depends on
Alright,
another
Yonder hits
number
the
of
sunspot.
factors.
Quinjet comes out.
Yondo hitting the
Quinjet is gonna
sunspot's
be
pretty
super useful here
is
if we can
like
get a Dino from.
interesting. I would say it's
if we
good
can
for
get a
Lee.
Dino from Lee.
Like he didn't hit
Super
anything
good.
core, so it's
He can
kind of
get
nice. Quinjet turn 1 is super scary though. If I were
there
there,
it is. Wow, he's after getting the devil Dino pickup. I think this could be huge. This could be huge.
I might snap if I was
Huge
Lee.
for Lee
This
right
is
now.
such a good hand.
So yeah, these matches, guys.
But
Just,
I-
you know, all of the other matches are going
The
on.
problem is like I need to see the third location. Like
Same time.
against good players, I don't think I would snap super early like this. Right? They're
do
both
believe they have
good,
the
so
bracket
I'd have
time
to see the
available,
third location.
as a
But like,
as a
if
pin,
this
that's
was like
the
ladder, I would
These
snap
games
here.
will not draw,
But it's
we'll
not
probably
ladder,
do
so I
other,
would be
favorite
a little bit
content
more
creators and streamers,
respectful.
and you
But
guys can see the bracket. We
we'll
are
see
not
how it
able to
goes.
feature all of the games at the moment, unfortunately.
ooh,
But
that Iceman is actually so important. That Iceman's a broken card. I don't know. I know I don't talk about Iceman enough, but dude, that card is so game changing.
I think it's coming out.
Ooh, Midnight
Iceman
Lab
in
is
that Moon
actually
Girl is
quite nice.
pretty detrimental though. I mean, that means he can't do his typical Moon Girl into Devil on 6. So, I mean, listen, yeah, chat. Iceman always hits the right target, right? Iceman always hits the right target.
Iceman always do. It's kind of crazy. It's very.
I guess you would just spam Sentinel. There's no reason to play the Cosmo, so you just spam Sentinel. But yeah, this Iceman is actually such a game changer. That's annoying. Dude, I'd be so annoyed if Rosalie hit anything else. I guess Devil's Sword would also be kind of bad. Would it though? No, it would actually would be fine. Devil's Sword would have been fine. It's just the Moon Girl. That's the worst hit. There's no other better. Yeah, it's just that Moon Girl. Iceman may have won Dara the game actually, which is so sickening.
Still a close one.
I hate to hear it. But yeah, you only go Sentinel mid, and he's going Deathlock right. I mean Deathlock left for Dara, which I think is fine.
I think there's workshop, so we should be all right.
Dara kind of needs to draw the Killmonger or something to get rid of this Quinjet value. So yeah, not the best hits for Dara, I would say, right? He can't really do much. He just goes like maybe. There's nothing, right? But yeah, Bucky Von Scrogro. It's not. There's nothing there.
It's pretty good. It's gonna be very interesting how he plays it.
And he goes White Queen. Probably White Queen left if I were Lee here.
Oh boy, this is gonna be very interesting. See how it pulls off.
This is turn 4, so
But yeah, not great spots. We're gonna move it. We're gonna skip a little bit.
I mean, he doesn't have that Shang-Chi for.
Ooh, who's
Dara's hand
snapping?
is this bad? unfortunately. I mean, if you can pick up a Carnage, it means that Bucky, he's probably going to take advantage in the mid lane. Death,
Oh,
Death's
Lee's
pretty strong
snapping.
as well. I
Okay.
mean, he doesn't have that Shang-Chi
He's
for answer.
playing the Cosmo. So this is a concept I do think about, right? Like, you snap before you make your game-changing play, right? And that's when he plays the Cosmo. So he's thinking, okay, I'm playing down the Cosmo, I'll snap. I don't actually think he needs to snap here. I don't. But then again, he's not in a horrible spot, but he's not in like an amazing spot. But he's just like locking down, just like so. Like anytime you're gonna play like your, like your Jubilee, your Shang-Chi, your Cosmo. Cosmo's a little bit questionable because sometimes you just play Cosmo for tempo, right? So that one's not as important. But like your Spider-Man, any of those like interesting cards, you do want to snap because those cards could be the difference between them losing, right? You know that Lee has priority, so if the Cosmos shuts down any play, that might get Dara to retreat. So it's just a good habit to have. I would say battle mode can be a little different where you don't have to do that, but like I'm sure like it's just like they haven't played like tons of battle mode and they're battle mode experts, but it's
okay, I think that was a
still
snap from-
just good habit. And that
was a
will
snap
get
from
the
his mice.
retreat
Okay,
from
really,
Dara.
really
So the reason
interesting.
why Dara retreats is just because like he doesn't
So
have,
you're on
he's not guaranteed to have a good end of his turn,
level
right? So if
strong
you
as
look at
well.
his hand, right, he has the wave, he has the Shang-Chi. It's not that impressive, right? If those two cards were like if like the Shang-Chi was like a She-Hulk or Death, right? I think he could stay in, but that didn't happen, right? So it's a lot more awkward. And then also the Quinjet start is just so much hidden pressure, especially with the Sentinel spam, that it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. So I think it's a fair
He
lead
realizes that
from
Dara's hand
Dara
is this
here.
bad.
Don't
Unfortunately.
disagree
Super,
with it
super
too
excited
much.
for this.
Yeah, I mean, both players are definitely being conservative.
Did you comment on the Thanos deck? No, I'm literally watching from the beginning. I haven't commented. I haven't seen I didn't see anything, at all. So I don't even know the deck list too much. This is like the first match, and I'm just talking about the first match. I definitely think I need to speed it up. But for this match, I am giving them attention, but I'll definitely speed it up afterwards.
First game, you want to be conservative.
The peak's always scary. The peak is a card where the peak is a location you could snap into, even if it doesn't help you, because you like if you know the deck list, right? You know like do these decks get screwed, right? And like some of them do. Like I would say, Deathwave probably gets screwed, right? There's no like big pluses. Where with Lee's deck, right, you can hit like She-Hulks, or not She-Hulks, you can hit the dinos, right? Three mana dinos, 5 power base. Like I think here Lee could snap like at any point and Dara would leave, so it's free. Like if they know the list and the matchups, I think Lee can always just snap. I think that's exactly what Lee's doing. Like you see how he's looking at, he's just like, okay, what can Dara have? Is there any good peak targets? No? Okay, I'm just gonna snap. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lee just snaps here and then Dara just leaves. So that's probably what Dara's thinking. If he snaps, I leave, But okay, they do nothing. But now there's like hidden pressure. I think it's smart if you actually had a good start. I think it's smart to not snap. But the problem is like they didn't actually have a good start, so it ends up not mattering. But it's still interesting.
Goes with the peak. That's a big play.
I will say Death is actually good for
very interesting.
Death is actually good for Dara though, right? Because
For sure, yeah. Westview could turn back.
you do lose the 10 power or the 12 power, but you get 9 power and you lose the 3. So the wave is free already.
Absolutely huge.
The wave's already free, so that's actually pretty powerful.
And he's picked up the Killmonger. This is great for the death. He's got the wave.
It did have the armor
this is
on
looking good for
2.
Dara, and I think Darren knows that when he hit that arrow, he has the advantage going into this match 100%. I'm super.
So yeah, I actually think Dara's in a really good spot, right? Actually, I take it all back, because he can go wave and then arrow death immediately, and there's no like downside. And he's already played the armor, so you don't have to worry about the armor anymore. So I think
super hyped
Dara's
for.
actually in a
This
good
Cosmo
spot
could be
here.
off. I feel like Cosmo really messes
It's
up
gonna
Dara's
tempo the
plan a little
Cosmo,
bit,
and
'cause
he
it's
has to
gonna be
tempo
like
in mid,
normal, it's gonna
right?
be wave.
Yeah.
But also playing
But
it on
now he
3,
gets the wave
oftentimes, you know
wave
what I
on
mean?
the
You want to
right
kind of save
side.
until later, until things
But everyone knows that.
until
Everyone
things
knows they're waving on the right side.
play out exactly 100%. So the Killmonger is going to come down. Unfortunately, Lee's sunspot is protected
So we can go
from that
Moon
armor,
Girl,
so we'll
right?
still be able to survive.
Or
The Shuri's lab is really interesting. I mean, you can put the death on it. Interestingly, actually, here the Shuri's lab is good for Lee's She-Hulk and then Dara's death. But
are we
interesting
snapping?
fact, if you guys don't know, if you
Ooh,
play Devil Dino,
that's
on Shuri's lab,
interesting.
it's only gonna double the base.
Oh, we're
power.
leaving.
Okay, so it's a retreat right there.
Ooh, I think
Really,
Dara could win this
This is
one.
back and forth
I
right
don't
now.
know about this one. I don't know about this retreat. I think we're actually much stronger than we think we are. But I can see it too, because Lee's going Moon Girl into double She-Hulk probably, right? Because with Shara's lab you can do that, right? So you could do something like White Queen double She-Hulk, and he has a Sunspot. I guess it's a fine retreat from Dara. Yeah, I guess it is a fine retreat. I don't know. I think I don't know. I think Dara could win this too, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know the hands, obviously. So it's hard to say. Like from with the hidden pressure, because the one issue is like Lee's curved perfectly, right? He hit the Sunspot into the armor into the Cosmo, right? So it's a perfect curve. So it's hard to be confident in that moment. And we have God vision, so
tracking what cards have been played, and because that's
we're in high stakes
super
rounds.
important, right? Again, shout out to Untap.gg for sponsoring this event. Thanks to them.
All right, so we're looking at this early game. Sunspot's nice, and then Dara's is also not horrible.
You don't have to do whatever play cards. So if you guys are interested, it's super important that he tries.
Ooh, Adelan. So they hit Adelan. How does that change things? Like Adelan's not that bad for Dara in general because he does have a ton of like early cost cards. He can do like Bucky Barnes, Carnage, Yondu as well. Where it's definitely worse for Lee. So I would say like anytime Adelan comes out, Dara should be thinking, okay, this is gonna be better for me because he's gonna lose all the advantage he got, right? Like from the card draw, right? You lose your Sentinels, you lose like you might lose into your Moon Girl. So obviously it depends on what they do draw afterwards, but I would say like generally it's better for
like the
Dara
Yondu, the
than it
Carnage,
is for
something
Lee.
like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gonna move up a little bit.
Boy, I'm jet.
Right. Oh, Savage Lands.
I think
Wow, that's so good. I would maybe snap if I were Dara here, right? Savage Lands is really nice. You get the Carnage, and he has the Carnage. So I think that's actually a pretty good scenario there. We'll see what happens.
At that point.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Again, these guys are both playing very, very conservative.
I
totally get it.
Who has initiative though? That's the problem, right? See, Lee's deck is so good into this matchup, right? Like, because let's say Lee has Cosmo here, Dara just loses, so you can't snap, so you can't even snap, so you just have to hope he doesn't have it. So Lee's deck is too good into Dara's deck. Like that's the problem. Your deck list just kind of sucks. Like if Lee snapped here, I'd probably leave. Even though we have the advantage, I'd probably leave. That's actually how bad it is. So yeah, but fortunately he didn't snap, so it's kind of telling you he doesn't have it. So that's the nice thing. But like, it's so cursed. This matchup is so cursed. All right, so okay, so Dara's like, okay, he doesn't have Cosmo, feels okay.
He has Dexter's name. That's so true.
But yeah, it's a bit rough.
I'm not sure if it does work on iOS. Maybe it does on tap, but it's okay. We want to go with the iPads, make it a little bit easier instead of using the laptops. It's more mobile, so that's why we went that route.
100%, yeah. So that would be actually awesome if anyone does want to do any like deck tracking on iPads. But for the moment, it's just
Deathlock is really nice here.
So yeah, coming into this game right now, we have the Deathlock.
So he's thinking whether he wants to not play the Squirrel Girl so that he can play She-Hulk next turn, which I think is a reasonable play. Though you could also just play the Squirrel Girl and then pass turn 5 and then hope you hit like She-Hulk arrow, right? Like that would be the other line. So I think those both are like okay. If he had the arrow, it's a lot easier to make that decision. Whereas Lee has the Quinjet, right? So that gives him a lot of room to work with. He could go White Queen, he could go Agent Sentinel. He could probably go Cosmo. Cosmo mid is actually really strong. So you could go like maybe Agent left, Cosmo mid. Other line is you go White Queen and then you play everything. But Sentinels are like so much power for one. I would like to play the Sentinel.
Lee's hand is actually looking a little bit lackluster. This White Queen can have one.
The
Do we have any
one
bracket
Lee
updates
doesn't
right
have
now?
a
We
bomb
do.
yet.
Different players.
That's like his downside.
That's a big kappa. All right. So we got, as I said, Bucky. Listen, these are going to be long, right? These players are it's intense. You know what I mean? It's going to be back and forth, 100%.
Whoa, Lee played Cosmo right? Huh. Don't
Cosmo comes down.
understand that.
We got the Sentinel coming in here. Interesting that the Cosmo came down on the Savage Land. I feel like the lane is bricked now, which is...
Cosmo right is very confusing. I don't like that play. And at first glance, we'll see if there's a reason. I don't like that play. What? I don't know. I don't like it.
Probably
I don't like
not
it.
the best for Lee.
If you're playing Cosmo, you go Cosmo middle. Right, you go Sentinel, Cosmo middle. I like that better.
So
don't like this play from Lee.
Coming into turn 5 here, oh my god, Dara picked up the wave. That's huge. That is actually huge. You got another update? What's this now? Eggs has won her game, and that actually means that in the next round we have Eggs.
So we can go what? White Queen left, Sentinel mid. Into Sentinel arrow. It sounds horrible. Sounds horrible. Lee snapped, right? Lee was the one that snapped, right? Yeah. I definitely think this is a misexecution. Don't think we were confident enough to be snapping here.
We'll feature that game next. We will feature that
Especially
game after this,
Adelaide.
guys. So that is the first update. As I said, the bracket is live in the pinned message if you guys want to see it. So yeah, so right now it's actually not looking great for Lee. I'm not gonna lie. He's bricked the Savage Land lane. That would be. I will try and as to what that has been.
She's going for the She-Hulk.
The She-Hulk
there
comes down.
makes sense. White Queen.
It was
yeah.
the White Queen on the vault, guys. The White Queen.
Yeah.
All right,
wait,
yeah,
did he not play Sentinel? Why didn't he play Sentinel though? Oh, to get the extra power from Sunspot? Oh, I see. To get the extra power from Sunspot.
If
It's
I'm
not
Lee, I
worth
mean,
it, though.
you gotta realize that you can't win this, right? There is nothing that he can do. He's got to run. He's got to run.
He could have won with Arrow. He plays Arrow mid.
Run. Okay, well, Dara with the big advantage here, with the big advantage.
No, he still loses. What do you mean? He'd still lose. He gets 10 mid, and then they get 5. Or they'll get, yeah, he still loses. What do you mean? He can't win with Arrow. Oh, you mean play Arrow mid? Oh, turn 5. You mean last turn? Oh, is that what you're saying? I'm not reading chat. I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, play Arrow mid last turn.
Dino comes down on the vault. That would be pretty tough, but there is no Dino.
But he'd still lose. Like, that doesn't... No, he still loses. That doesn't help him. That doesn't matter. You play Arrow mid, he She-Hulk's mid, and then they just play Squirrel Girl and you lose. So that doesn't matter. Yeah, they just play Squirrel Girl and they lose and you lose, so... It doesn't matter.
At the moment.
The snap was weird, honestly. I don't think Lee was in the position to snap. I actually think Dara was the one who should have been snapping instead of Lee. So when Lee snapped, I was like, huh, a little bit weird. But yeah, just a rough game from Lee there. Not anything great. I have to say, like, you have to get the armor in this matchup. Like, if you're snapping into, like, against these players, you need the armor. Can't snap as Lee without the armor. It
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
make sense.
I've actually recently changed my name to.
So now Lee's in a really bad spot, right? Because he only has 4 health left. Dara has 7, right? So it's a
Ooh,
lot
eggs
harder to
as well.
win. I will say Lee's hand here is really good,
Yeah,
even
I'm
without
now
the
eggs,
4th
so I love
card.
that feature from secondary.
Onslaught Citadel doesn't help. Dara at all. So if I were Lee, I'd maybe
100%.
snap
I
right
believe you-
immediately. I'd just snap here. My hand is really good, and Onslaught Citadel helps us a lot. It doesn't help Lee. It doesn't help Dara at all. So this is a
You changed your
instant
name as
snap
well.
for me.
Yes, this-
I just take advantage. Get my 2 free cubes. I don't want my
you guys
opponent
will be confused.
getting any extra
Who's
information.
now on who's
So
count,
here's
there
an
you
instant
go.
snap. But
Nice
yeah, we
space
don't
drop.
snap. So yeah, it's just like not super comfortable. Like you're respecting your opponent too much. I think like both deck lists. Like you take advantage of Citadel like crazy, and my opponent doesn't. So I would just instant snap here.
Coming into this start for
doesn't
Dara,
do
something really good. He's
that.
got the Squirrel Girl space run.
We go Sunspot
Face.
with on 1, which is
Oh, that-
Plunder Castle. Once again, if I'm snapping, like
pretty
do
bad
you have
as well. That's
Sunspot
pretty
to
bad.
Plunder? That's
That's
so
pretty
good for
bad.
you.
Oh my lord.
Oh, is
Rip.
Dara snapping? Is Dara about to snap here?
Okay.
Why are you snapping, Dara? What?
Well,
Oh, because of the sun. Oh, because he wants to kill Munger. Oh, because he knows he can't kill Munger. Oh, I see. That's a nice read. That's a nice read
if
from
we're looking at
Dara.
these decks,
I like it. I like
technically,
it. I
wait,
like
did-
this
did
a
both
lot.
players snap?
I
Wait,
actually
wait, did
still
both players
think.
snap? I might have missed that.
I actually still think.
I don't know who snapped, but we are on,
Lee's ahead.
We are all for 4
Like, I'd
cubes
actually
here,
be
so,
fine
I mean, if
with
he
that,
can miss
but
this,
it's
I think he might have to run.
it's definitely. Why would you
He might
run?
have to
No,
run
no.
away.
I
He's
think we're
committing. He's
still
committing a
fine.
lot to this. He's gonna feel. I mean, if I was him, I'd be much more confident if I have the Moon Girl, if I have the Dino. Have a bit
Oh, you're
of
playing armor
combo
right,
pieces.
not armor
Oh, he
left.
sniped
Oh
the
no,
Dino.
we lost the
He sniped the
Dino. That's so bad. Oh, that's really bad. Okay.
I know. Oh my
That's
god.
really bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, Yondu's hard
He should.
carrying.
Well, actually, no, he can't pull out now because he's on 4 cubes.
Mur Island.
He has to play. He has to play it through. He actually has to play this game through. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
His hand Devil Dino's going. I mean, he has Agent 13. Hopefully, he gets a better card.
Yeah, yeah. Fingers crossed.
Especially on Onslaught Citadel.
Mhm.
And he has Arrow to help him out too. So we could, if he plays Agent 13, pull.
Okay,
in
so
Iron Man.
it's gonna be it's
Play Iron
good
Man
that
and play Arrow
we
on
don't
him.
have initiative here
But
because
let's
he
see how
gets
it
the
goes. I
Killmonger,
hope Agent 13 drops. Okay, let's see. Killmonger.
and then we.
plays.
Why are we playing Quinjet on the left though?
Sucks. Nobody's playing in Plunder.
We're not playing Quin. I mean,
Alright.
Onslaught Citadel, Lee.
Did Agent
That's
13 give him a Shuri?
that's really important. I don't like this play. No, we go Quinjet on the left. What, you take advantage of Onslaught Citadel? Look how good it would be here. It's so good here too. What? No. You get 2 mana Shuri, and then you can Moon Girl the Shuri. 2 mana. You get 2 mana Shuris. Oh my god. Into Arrow, and then you get a 3 mana Arrow. It's so good. Why didn't we do that? Oh, I hate it. It's so bad. No, this is wrong. This is not the play. This is not the play. So yeah, definitely we had an advantage, but we've kind of tossed it away a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we gotta see how it turns out. But yeah, definitely. So maybe he doesn't understand, like, cause Lee's new, right? Lee's new. So, well, newish, right? So maybe he doesn't understand just how powerful Quinjet into Onslaught is here. Like, it's so strong. Like, that's why I would have snapped, right? Because I understood how powerful it is, right? Because you have the armor too, right? So you could go Quinjet. You could go Quinjet on 1, but you went Sunspot on 1, which was fine. But you could go Quinjet on 1, armor on 2. There's almost no card that you'll lose priority. I guess there's like a 50-50 flip, but like they can't Killmonger you on 2. Then you have that protection, and then you get the Moon Girl. You caught whatever. We all know like this unfortunately was not the play, but I think this is probably where Lee loses. But he can still win. I want to toss. He can still win here. It's just like not as like clean, I guess.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned silence right now. Yeah.
Him a Shuri?
Wait, you can play Death for 4? How can you play Death for 4? He killed 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wow, damn. Okay, I don't know if Lee can still win here anymore. He can play 4 mana Death already into the armor lane. That's actually so rough. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, he can use.
Pulling down Alex over G.
So he commits the Moon Girl on the right. Jeez. I mean, this Mur Island definitely is a location that you can fully commit to, but you don't want to play all. You don't want to lock the location, right? Because now you give your opponent the full read of like exactly how much power they need to beat you a lot of the time. So even though you get the advantage, like it's not worth it. Against good players, like if you're playing in ladder, you can maybe do this, but like against good players, they're going to be like, oh well, I just have to beat them by 3. Let me do that. So definitely wouldn't lock the location like that. But yeah, I mean, imagine if he had 1 mana Cosmo, 3 mana Arrow, 2 mana Shuris. It'd be so sick. He'd be so ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex.
But that's not
Alex has
the
made it
not
to
the
next
case
round,
here.
and that is amazing. I remember Alex brought some amazing lineups. He brought like Cerebro.
Whoa, isn't
Tree,
that
he
order
brought, like, an
wrong?
Invisible Woman.
Isn't that order wrong? Didn't he go
list,
Cosmo
so
into Shuri? Isn't
that's
that order wrong?
super next round, and that is super cool. Yeah, the Shuri could be really good here, but the problem is
So Cosmo, she a 5 or anything. She then I mean.
Yeah,
Cosmo,
look
Shuri,
at this.
and
He
then
went Cosmo into Shuri.
close it.
You can tell he's new. You can tell he's new. Like, this is like he doesn't know. He got 2 copies of the best card in the game. He doesn't know. His order is just, yeah. Even look at Dara's face. Dara's like, what is he doing? Like, oh man, it's so funny. But yeah, I mean,
Not heavy.
this is just like inexperience, basically. Yeah, and Dara's like, what's going on? But yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate, right? Unfortunate for Lee. Obviously, he's mostly Hearthstone player. He does play a little bit of Snap, but it's definitely not his area of expertise. So definitely a couple of mistakes from Lee in this matchup. So
He is.
bit rough, but you know what can you do, right? You know you take the loss with stride, I guess. Dude, he could have won though, right? Like imagine, like if the order was different, right? He'd have 8 power here. If he goes She-Hulk here, he'd lose by 1. He'd actually win by 1, right? He'd tie this game, right? Wouldn't he? Because he'd have 1+1 here. He'd have -1 here, and he'd tie here. So
okay, it's interesting that the Cosmo is down here. If the Cosmo wasn't there and it was Shuri into Arrow, I think maybe Lee could have taken it off of difference. Maybe not, but I think he could have done it. I think this is Dara's game.
Just imagine he had 2 mana Shuris and 3 mana Arrow. He just goes Shuri into Arrow into Shuri Arrow, right? Like it's like how do you beat that? Like you don't. Right? They can't play into Plunder Castle. You have so much power. He wins this. He would win this one.
Did he play Cosmo
With different
Shuri? Oh my
different
God,
plays.
he missed that. I think
So
he
it's
played-
just so
Yeah, it's a
unfortunate.
GG's.
He played out.
Other games, guys. Nobody else has made it through so far. All the other games are going on at the moment, and I believe that is it. That is a win for Dexter, aka Dara.